It is another Friday, so let's get to some questions from the listeners.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are tuned into another edition of Locked On Royals in the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter at JohnnyJ_15. That is at JOHNYJ_15. You also can catch us on wherever you listen to podcasts. That can be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. For you first-time listeners wondering how this channel works, I bring you episodes Monday through Friday. Those will be 30 minutes in length, as well as 60-second YouTube shorts after the Royals game, sometimes during the weekend. Not always able to get them up, depending on where I'm at. But you can count on the Locked On Royals Postcast, which is hosted by Chance Lebo. He comes to you live for about 15 to 20 minutes after each and every Royals game. So he'll be back in action tonight as the Royals begin their 3-game series with the Cleveland Guardians. Before we get started, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off on your first purchase. As always, you can reach out to me for a Mailbag Friday on YouTube. You can reach out to me on Twitter. Just respond with your question below the tweet I put out on Thursday. But if you don't want your question to be public, you don't want me to answer it on the episode, you can just direct message me and I'll be sure to answer you back to make sure that everybody has their question answered by me. Now, if I don't get to anybody today, if I missed it somewhere, just respond below on this YouTube video and I'll be sure to have it done by the end of the weekend. Question number 1 comes from Braden. Going to the Royals game on Tuesday versus Atlanta, any new food items to try that you like from Kauffman? Plus, which ballpark has the best hot dog in your opinion? Thanks as always. New food at Kauffman. I'll have to out myself a little bit here. I don't sample a lot of new food at Kauffman. I would say the craziest thing I've done is the nacho helmet bowl. That's always really good, just very expensive. I just like the good old hot dog. Hot dog and beer is what I usually get at the game. However, I love the chicken place they have too. I have gotten that. They're chicken tenders from the little chicken shop in left field, I want to say. And then the bullpen burger in right field is very good as well. So if you haven't tried that, I would definitely recommend it. It's pretty tasty. Just I would recommend eating before the game if you get the burger because maybe it can get a little bit messy. So I always try to eat it around there. And then when I get to my seat, I've got a beer in hand. Then for the best ballpark hot dog, I would say that the Dodger dog was really good when I was in LA years ago. So I would probably go with the Dodger dog if I wasn't to pick Kauffman, although I've never really had a ballpark hot dog I've really disliked. I'm not too much of a picky eater, as you can probably tell from my answers. Gary's question, actually, sorry, this is not from Gary. This is from Reese. What deal would you rather do, Lugo and Blake Mitchell for Durant or Bubich and Gavin Cross for Durant? Would the Royals do these deals? It would absolutely be Lugo and Mitchell for Durant. I believe the Red Sox are going to say no on that, mainly because they seem pretty adamant about not trading Durant for a rental pitcher, which is what Lugo is if we all expect him to decline the qualifying offer. And I expect Bubich to be in a Royals uniform long term. That could come back to bite me in the butt if he's traded by the July 31st deadline. But I just see him sticking around and the Royals being the team to give him that extension. Next one is coming from Beeve. What move could/would by the Royals make you shake your head like, what is this team doing kind of move? Okay, so I kind of pick up what you're putting down there. Would love to know a couple names that come to mind. If they were to acquire another rental, unless they were to sweep the Guardians and the Braves, I wouldn't really see a need for another rental. You got Adam Frazier. I understood it for the bench. If they acquire another rental bat and you're still 4.5 to 5 games out of a wild card spot, I really wouldn't get it, especially if you're trading somebody in the top 30. So that would be a move that I'd go, I really don't understand it. If you were to acquire a player that's not a Jarren Duran type, I'd shake my head at trading David Shields. He's just quickly become my favorite prospect in the system now that Jack Caglione has graduated. So if David Shields is involved in any trade, it better be a pretty big return that the Royals are getting back. Next one is coming from DJ Mack. Which trade would you rather have for Lugo? Red Sox Durant for Lugo, Ramon Ramirez, and Jonathan Bowen, or Cubs, Jonathan Long, Brad Keller to be the swing starter for Lugo and Bowen. Note, Keller with this development would have better time in KC than his previous stint. My pick would still probably be Jarren Duran because you know what he would be or what he has been over what you're getting back from the Cubs. Now, Brad Keller, of course, being a big leaguer, that would help out a little bit. He has really revamped his overall arsenal. He's pumping it in the upper 90s, has a devastating slider. But to be a swing starter, I don't know if he could maintain that type of stuff. I believe that he's going to be a reliever permanently. And if the Royals only got back the number 9 prospect in the Cubs system and Long, I'm not sure I'd be blown away by that deal. Wouldn't hate it. I would try to find the reasons as to why it makes sense, but I think I'd still rather take the Red Sox deal there. This next one is coming from Lancer. Once Cole Reagans is back, what do we do with our starters? Thinking about moving Michael Lorenz into the bullpen. This is all going to be answered probably if they trade Seth Lugo or not. And I'm leaning toward they are still going to be trading Seth Lugo, whether they are buying or selling. They might be doing a little bit of both, in my opinion. So when Cole Reagans comes back, you would still have Noah Cameron in the rotation. You'd still have Chris Bubich. You would have Michael Wacha as well. So there's your 4, and then Michael Lorenzen would be your 5. But that, if you hang on to Seth Lugo, then you probably need to think about Michael Lorenzen moving to the bullpen and being your swing starter, mainly because he's also coming off the injured list, and Cole Reagans just has more upside in coming off the injured list. Next one's coming from Curtis. With how Rusty Kuntz has transformed the Royals' outfield defense and working with Alex Gordon, Kyle Isbell, Cags, etc., what are the chances of being inducted into the Royals Hall of Fame? Well, it's a fair question. It's a unique one, too, which I absolutely love. He should deserve some sort of recognition, but the Royals Hall of Fame, in my opinion, still needs to be you were a really, really good player for the Royals or you were a really, really good manager for the Royals. Rusty Kuntz, just feels like he should have an honor, really. He should be honored somewhere. But in my opinion, I would just say that you can leave him out of the Royals Hall of Fame, but do something special where he can be recognized, where people who aren't as familiar with him can learn a little bit about what he did and what he's done for the entire Royals organization. But I absolutely love Rusty. What he's done, what he continues to do is unbelievable. So I hope at Kauffman Stadium somewhere you can honor him in some way, shape, or form. Next one is coming from Jordan. Mets are reportedly willing to trade their young infield guys and seek relief pitching. What would a package featuring Estevez for a package including Brett Beatty? Looks like Brett Beatty or Vientos look like. Does anything need to be added to either side, or could it be a 1-for-1? Is there a guy besides either of those two that you would rather have either the Mets or somewhere else? I would rather have Mark Vientos because he had a 30 home run season last year. Beatty is still trying to figure his way out. The big league level, he's never done it before either. So for Estevez, I just would want a little bit more assurance that guy is going to work out. Vientos has. It could be a 1-for-1 deal. So we'll have to wait and see. But Estevez is a closer, and the Mets have a closer. So I don't think that would be a deal that would be matching up very well. Next one is going to be coming from Corbin. Which do you like more, going to a game at Kauffman or going to a game at Arrowhead? Now, it's going to sound very biased because I do the Locked On Royals podcast. I just enjoy baseball more. I'm more of a baseball fanatic. I also enjoy the ease of getting in and out of a stadium. Much easier to do that at Kauffman Stadium than at Arrowhead. Now, let me say this. Just because I'm more of a baseball fan doesn't mean I'm not obsessed with tailgating and love football. I just don't go as often as I do to Kauffman Stadium. I'm lucky if I get to do, one game a year at Arrowhead Stadium, but now I do the Red and Gold post-game show here at Sports Radio 810 WHB, so I don't go to too many games. Though I'm trying to go to the Christmas game because don't believe we'll have a post-game show, so I will be able to tailgate and have a lot of fun there. But my pick, I will say I enjoy going to Royals games and going to Kauffman more than I do at Arrowhead. This one's from Logan. With Seth Lugo pitching like a top 15 starter and holding a player opt-out, does it feel like the front office is once again frozen by the Royals' hot and cold play? I wouldn't say they're frozen. They just want to know everything about this team before the 31st, which is why my prediction will be their big trades will be happening on the 31st. I think they are going to wait and see how these next 6 games go. Now, if they get swept by Cleveland, you don't need to wait till the 31st. It doesn't matter what you do against Atlanta. you would pretty much be out of it at this point. If you sweep the Guardians, maybe you can strike a deal before the Atlanta series. That would be putting you at 500, and you'd be able to maybe make an extra push going into the 31st. But I believe that they're going to be waiting up until the very last minute to get something done, and they will have a very good idea as to who they are on July 31st by 5 p.m., at least Central Time for me. Let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to get to a lot more questions next on Locked On Royals. You are tuning to Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. I want to tell you about the title sponsor in Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantees that take out the worry of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off on your first purchase. Those terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, for $20 off. Download the app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Next set of questions is going to begin with Wilson. Do you think if Harvey comes back and has a good outing or two, would he have any trade value? Maybe a little bit, but I just don't see a world in which he's back in the next 6 or 7 days. So I'd imagine he's going to be some relief help for the Royals in the second half, whether they would be buyers or sellers. This one is from Obi. Actually, Obi does not have a question here. So we're done over on YouTube. If I missed anybody's question on YouTube, just again, respond below on this video. Let's jump over to Twitter here and get all of the Twitter questions. Looks like we've got 30 of them. The first is going to be beginning with Kojone, who will be the Royals' biggest addition at the trade deadline. Also, thanks for doing the show, Jack. Love tuning in every day. And as always, thank you for the kind words. Biggest addition, it's going to be an outfielder with multiple years of control. I believe they'll be trading Seth Lugo for that. Who is that going to be? So tough to tell whether it be a blocked outfielder in AAA or if it's going to be a big leaguer. I don't believe it's going to be Durant. I don't believe it's going to be Brian Reynolds. Man, it's just so up in the air right now. I'll say a name out there. Let's go Adolis Garcia. Take that for what it is. I'm not confident in that just because there's not a lot of smoke just yet. We'll know on Tuesday who they've really been linked to. But since Garcia has been constantly rumored, I feel like the Royals will be one of those teams looking for him. I'm not saying they'd trade Lugo, but that might be their biggest bet they would bring in return. Again, still not very confident on that whatsoever. This one's from Jeff. Even if the Royals win the next 2 series, keep Lugo and make a trade for an upgrade in the outfield. Do you think we can still make the playoffs or, more importantly, win a series in the postseason? If the Royals make the playoffs, that means they're going to be one of the hottest teams in baseball in the second half. So, yes, I would say they could win a series because that would mean they're like the Tigers from last year, where the Tigers were able to beat the Astros because they were playing such good ball and they were as hot as can be. If the Royals are doing that, I would still have confidence they could win a playoff series because of their pitching staff. This one is from Ryan. Who is our most productive outfielder for the rest of the year? I'm still going to say Jack Caglione. I feel he's got the most upside of the bunch. Runner-up would be John Rave. He's been playing better, of course, in the second half. So I'll pick those two unless they acquire an outfield bat who's a league average hitter. Then that would be my pick. But until I know that, I would have to go with Cags and then John Rave. This one is from Charles. Is Salvi a Hall of Famer? He's really making a strong case to do so. If he gets to 300 home runs, a little bit over 300 home runs, and over 1,000 RBIs, and plays into his age 37, 38 season, I believe he is going to get in. I wasn't sold on that going into this year, but the way he's had this resurgence, it makes me think he can play next year. He can play the year after that, even if he's a full-time DH. But I'm leaning toward yes for now. This one's from Chelsea. This team needs consistency, not only mental consistency, but doing the basics correctly via repetition. Hue's half-assed management this late in the season seems lackadaisical at best. How about keep the players and get a new manager? I knew that I would be getting some questions like that. Look, it's how Matt Quatraro manages. And when it doesn't work out, a lot of people get upset by it. But it's also the same way they were managed last year, and they won 86 games and got to the ALDS. I believe that a lot of this team's struggles have been player-based. They have not got enough out of their players, and the bench hasn't been very good. But that's how Matt Quatraro is going to manage. So, no, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. If you are advocating for him losing his job, that is just not going to happen. He just got an extension in the offseason, and the Royals seem very, very committed to him. This one is from John. How much do the Royals play MJ? I wouldn't say a lot. We touched on it a little bit in yesterday's episode. I'd imagine he's just going to be a bench bat that can come in late in the game as either a defensive replacement if there's been a pinch hitter earlier in the game, or he might be that pinch hitter to try to run into one in the 8th or the 9th inning. This one's from Hey, not a question about the Royals, but what does a day in the life of Jack Johnson look like? Fair question. And you don't always have to ask questions about the Royals. I love these questions and answering them. As you can tell, I'm not in my typical podcasting room. I'm actually at work. So I get to work around, 8:30 or 9. You prep for some show stuff. I hop on the Zone with Jason Anderson here, and then I come into this room and I produce our sister station, ESPN Wichita, from 12 to 4. After that, I then go and record the podcast, assuming I don't have anything else going on. And then I've got some extracurricular activities where I play beer league softball, I play sand volleyball, like to go to the lake a little bit, play some video games as well. So yeah, I stay pretty busy, which is why when I try to commit to posting at certain times, it doesn't always work out that way. But that's kind of a day in the life of what I do here, what I do after work. But yeah, a lot of sports talk, and that's pretty much the same Monday through Sunday. This one is from Richard. Consensus, buyers or sellers? I'm going to take the cop-out answer and say a little bit of both. I believe they are going to buy a little bit. I believe they're going to sell a little bit and still try to give this team a push in the second half, unless they just get swept in these next two series or they go 1-5 over these next two series. So, I would say that there's still a lot that can happen in these 6 games, but I believe there is going to be a little bit of both. I will say, though, I believe they will trade Seth Lugo by the 31st deadline next Wednesday. Aiden's question. Chance said on the postcast that David Lesky said it wouldn't be surprising if Jarren Duran was playing for the Royals in a couple of weeks. Do you take what David says seriously, or do you take it with a grain of salt? I absolutely take what David says seriously. He does a phenomenal work inside the Crown. He hops on our ESPN Wichita shows every single week, so I always love to hear what he has to say. He is very connected with the Royals, so when he says some things, I absolutely take them seriously. And not to say that it's going to happen, but clearly the Royals would be discussing it. But yeah, if you have not subscribed to Inside the Crown, it is phenomenal. I read it every time it gets sent into my inbox, and I'm curious what the Royals are saying, what they're telling him, and he's just a great follow on Royals Twitter. This one's from Michael. What are you hearing on the Durant rumors? If I were a Red Sox fan, I'd be pretty upset if they did this. And I'm sure a lot of Red Sox fans would be, because they already traded away Rafael Devers. I just don't see it being as likely now. I don't know if it was 100% accurate that the Padres offered Dylan Cease and Ethan Salas and another prospect for Durant, and it was quickly, declined by Boston. They just seem like a team that's not going to do much. They might try to add some pitching, but they're not going to give up Jarren Duran for it unless they got someone like Mitch Keller or Joe Ryan to really sweeten that deal. So for the Royals, they just might be outpriced with Jarren Duran. This one is from Mike. Where would you rank Fermin amongst the other 29 backup catchers? Probably top 10. He'd be a starter on a couple of teams out there. And anytime you could be called a potential starter as a backup catcher, you got to be in the top 10 for backup catchers. Love Freddie Fermin, love his story, and love what he brings to the Royals. This one is from Jason. If you were trading Seth Lugo for Durant and had to add a catcher out of Mitchell, Jensen, or Ramirez, would you do it, and which would you give up? I would give up probably Ramon Ramirez if the deal could get it done, because Blake Mitchell's a top 30 prospect. Carter Jensen's raking in AAA, and Ramon Ramirez is still in Low A Columbia and working back from a hamate bone injury, which is also what Blake Mitchell had in spring training, funny enough. So I would love to hang on to Jensen and Mitchell. I don't see it working out that way. If they were to acquire Durant, it would absolutely have to be Jensen or Mitchell in that, because of their prospect status and where they're currently slated in the Royals farm system. So that would be my pick. But Ramon Ramirez, as much as the Royals and we all value him, I'm not sure he's valued the same by other organizations. Let's take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll wrap it up next on Locked On Royals. You are tuning to Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson. You can check us out on wherever you listen to your podcast. Want to tell you about Gameday Hue. Gameday Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com with our code MLB15. And as I said yesterday, you might have seen me wear the navy blue hat with kind of the white rope around it, the white string. It's very comfortable. I'm not much of a golfer, but when I have gone golfing, I wear those hats. Super comfortable. They're breathable, which you don't always say about hats, but I sweat a lot with this hair. And so if you have a breathable hat, it's far more comfortable when you're out there on the golf course in Kansas City when it's 95 and up with all the humidity here. So strongly suggest it. And again, use that code of MLB15. Next question is coming from the Mizzler. If we are still 500, don't know what to do by deadline day, would you rather A, trade Lugo for Owen Casey / other outfield prospect of your choice and claim Fedde off waivers? B, keep Lugo and see what happens, then give him the qualifying offer and let him sign elsewhere and get a draft pick? It would be A in a landslide for me. If you could get Owen Casey in a deal like that, you get it done. Unfortunately, I do not believe that Seth Lugo is enough to get the number one prospect in the Cubs system. Would love for it to happen. Would love to tell you guys otherwise. I just don't see it being that likely. Next one is from Shelley. In the final game versus the Cubs, Cags was benched in the bottom of the ninth. Rave moved to right, and MJ came in at left. Right before this, Cags had thrown his bat down in frustration and barely jogged to first on a ground out. Did he get benched for his bad attitude? No, he did not. They just wanted to have defensive replacement there. Cags is still learning his way in right field, and they wanted to have an upgrade defensively. MJ's not much of one in left field, but moving Rave to right, that was just to get the defensive switch there. But now I'm trying to think about it. Was there a pinch hitter at any point? Oh, yeah, it was because Tyler Tolbert was pulled from the game too. So they had to move guys around there. Adam Frazier then had to go to third. They had to move someone else, Jonathan India, to second. So there was some defensive movement there. What I can tell you wholeheartedly, he was not benched for throwing his bat down and for the lack of hustle. Matt's question, do you think JJ really has it in him to be transactional as he's claimed? A transactional GM would move Lugo, Estevez, Lorenzen, Schreiber, Clark, India, and when seriously consider Bubich, all guys under 2 years of control, knowing this year most likely wasn't the year. See, they're not going to have a fire sale is where I'm at, because they said they want to compete in 2026. You sell all of those players, that is admitting to everybody you are nowhere close, and you are going to blow everything up, and you are going to start from scratch. What a lot of people aren't factoring in is they gave some contract extension to guys, and in those contract extensions, you have that commitment of, we're going to try to win here. I mean, you got Bobby Witt Jr. locked up long-term, and a goal in that was, we're going to try to be competitive in a playoff team every single year. You sell off all of those pieces on a year where you are hovering around 500, you send a horrible, horrible message to the rest of your players. And if you're a free agent next offseason and you want the Royals to be aggressive and they're thinking about coming to Kansas City, you know what some of those other players are going to say? Yeah, we were 4 games out of a wild card spot, and they sold off everybody like we were 40 games under 500. So I don't see that happening. And also, JJ has been transactional. Right, he was transactional in 2023. He was transactional last year. They overhauled their pitching staff. They overhauled their bullpen. They brought in guys offensively. Not all of them have worked out, but he is not Dayton 2.0. In fact, I believe he's drastically different than what Dayton Moore was in Kansas City. Next one's from Moyer. Out of the 2 top catching prospects we have, who would you include in the trade piece? Blake Mitchell would probably get you the most, in my opinion, because of his status in the top 30 on Baseball America. So I would probably pick Blake Mitchell over Carter Jensen. C Money's question: when are the Royals going to either trade Lugo for pieces or trade for a mid of the order bat? My prediction is it's going to take all the way up into the 31st. You want to see how this series goes in Cleveland. You want to see how the series goes against Atlanta. Not in Cleveland, by the way, against Cleveland. So two teams that they need to be able to play well against if they are going to be buyers. But I would imagine with Lugo, they're either going to make a trade before his next start against Atlanta, or they are going to wait until the 31st. That would be my pick there. This one's from Sid. Royals need to go about 39-20 to get the last wild card spot, meaning every series is huge at this point. Not really buying into this series against a 500 team being all that meaningful, other than helping them get the 39 wins. Just way too many teams in this right now. It is important simply for the trade deadline. If you do not win this series against Cleveland, you would be 51-55 with Atlanta looming. Yes, you could sweep Atlanta and be 54-55 and could try to buy again, but I feel they really need to get this 6-game homestand off on the right foot if they do want to be making some serious moves for a push in the second half. Danny's question: to get Owen Casey, it will take Lugo and probably David Shields and then Blake Mitchell as well, which I would not be willing to do at that point. Might even have to throw in someone else to sweeten that deal. But Owen Casey is going to be very, very expensive for the Cubs. I just don't see the Royals lining up with them. Would love to be proven wrong, though. Royals fan 79, other than maybe Lugo, do you think JJ would seriously trade any of our pitching, especially since so many pitchers are on the IL and in AAA as well? Do you think Rich Hill is a serious part of the rotation in August, or even Dallas Keuchel? No on Rich Hill and Dallas Keuchel. They're just spot starters while Michael Lorenzen is getting back. And I'm not sure that will deter them from trading Seth Lugo, just because that a couple guys are on the IL. If they do trade Lugo, I'd imagine they are going to be looking to add a starter somewhere from any of those selling teams to help them bridge the gap until Cole Reagans and Michael Lorenzen are back. Kate's question: MJ return will give this team a boost, and they will go on a run and win both series coming up. MJ just a good attitude guy. Like the optimism, and I'm rooting for that as well. Ty's question: I heard Lesky mention yesterday the Royals could trade Isbell and let Rave play center next year. What are your thoughts on that, and what would Isbell get you in return? Not a ton. Maybe a bullpen guy in the minor leagues somewhere, maybe a swing starter somewhere, which wouldn't be a bad thing at all. But I feel that most contending teams would view him as a fourth outfielder unless they are hurt in center field. As for the other part to that question, with Rave playing center, if he plays really well here in the final 60 games or a little bit under that, I would love to try that out, because I feel they've seen enough from Kyle Isbell, and now is the time to make that switch for a new center fielder. If John Rave is that guy and he's playing the way he has been, I wouldn't hate it at all. Tom's question: if they're selling, why is Bubich not being shopped? 1 year of control left during a meaningful 2026 season. Why not qualifying offer Lugo and trade Bubich now? Feel like the best way to get a genuine controllable outfield bat, then hit the free agent market again for starting pitchers like they've been doing. Not a bad idea. Bubich is younger, and I feel they want to give him an extension, and Lugo's 35 and nearing the end of his career. He's still pitching incredibly well, but how much longer is he going to be able to do it? With Bubich, you could see him being effective for the next 5 to 7 years, and I'm sure the Royals want him to be in Kansas City as long as he stays healthy. So that's why they're not really shopping him. I don't believe they would turn down a fantastic deal, but they would really have to be blown away by a strong offer. Next one is coming from Marty. You can acquire Jarren Duran, but you have to include Carter Jensen. Do you make the deal? I would. Jarren Duran's an outfielder with 3 years of control, a productive outfield bat, had a WAR near 9 last season. Carter Jensen, love the prospect. I root for local kids, but we don't know if he's going to be a great big leaguer. We know what Jarren Duran is, and I feel the Royals do need that in the outfield. This one is from Brian. Is it time to start talking about locking up Vinny? Maybe. He is now been a league average bat the last 2 years. He is showing to be a mainstay in that lineup, and he's getting hotter as the season goes on. I would be curious to see what an extension looks like there. The only downside is I don't believe he's as great defensively at first base, and I don't know if Kaggs is a long-term right fielder. But I would love to see Vinny in Kansas City long-term. You just got to pick and choose, though, who you want your extension guys to be. Now, Vinny is very consistent, and the Royals don't have a lot of consistency offensively, so I believe it would be a good move to maybe try to look into what an extension would be like this offseason. And lastly, our buddy from the Postcast, Chance, asked, what is your favorite breakfast food and or cereal? Favorite breakfast food would be maybe biscuits and gravy. Love bacon. I would probably say like a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, too, from McDonald's is a good go-to. Hash browns, I forgot to add that in there. Hash browns always have to be a main thing for my breakfast items there. And then cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, absolutely unbeatable. Always go with that. As a kid, that was my pick. Also Cookie Crisps as well. Haven't had those in a while, though. But Cinnamon Toast Crunch, take the cake there for my favorite cereal. Well, that's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jack Johnson. Thank you for making Locked On Royals your first listen today. For your second, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale and find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll be off this weekend, but Chance will have you covered with the Postcast, and keep an eye out for my 60-second YouTube shorts, assuming I can get them up in a timely manner this weekend. But until Monday, you take it easy, Kansas City.